talk to Gary in Milwaukee. Gary, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Morning.
So I just want to kind of deal with some facts. You had a violent breach the Capitol building. Fact is that some of them had firearms. There was a long rifle found, and there was some explosive. What has the golden rule always been for an officer recently when it's come to the shooting of a black person? I fear for my life. We don't know what was in that man's head, that officer that fired that round. We don't know what those people had concealed. So we can't speculate on anything at this point. We have to let justice run its course.
Well, what about firing rubber bullets or tear gas or something else besides lethal?
They didn't have rubber
force.
bullets. These are thanks for the call, Gary. They didn't have rubber. This was not a tactical response. This was people on site. The Capitol Hill Police. They had sidearms. So okay, I just wanted to give Gary a chance.
Okay.
For more on this topic and global issues, because that is her purview. We're pleased now to be joined by Katie McFarland. She is a former First Deputy National Security Advisor to President Trump. She's also the author of Revolution, Trump, Washington, and We the People. And she provided an excited utterance the last time I spoke with her on my syndicated show, Amy, that I know you're going to be interested in. Unsolicited testimonial from Katie McFarland. She'll probably live to regret these words.
It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You absolutely have the best sort of high-level show of anybody in the country, so it's an honor.
Again, KT, I just want you to stipulate that you were under no duress to make that statement.
That was no deep fake. That was the honest truth.
Hi, KT.
KT, great to have you back. Turning to the week that has transpired and particularly everything that happened Wednesday, just wanted to give you an opportunity to comment on the violence, the politics, the resignations, wherever you want to take it.
I don't think it serves any purpose for me to say who's at fault and all that stuff. I want to, because everybody's doing that. I'd like to take a step back or even a step up and say, let's look at this from the big picture. What's the real problem in America today? It's not that Biden is going to be president, although I think he's going to have disastrous foreign and economic policies. It's not Donald Trump, even though I think he behaved abominably since the election. It's not even China, which plans to supplant us as the world's dominant power and then rewrite the rules of order at our expense. I think the greatest problem facing us is us. It's that half the country hates the other half of the country. You know, half the country thinks Donald Trump stole the election in 2016. The other half thinks he stole it that Biden stole it in 2020. We cannot go on like this because democracy is built on a shared foundation of faith in our institutions, in our officials, in our equal application of the law. And we don't have that right now. We're doubting the elections. We're doubting election results on both sides. So I think everybody's saying we've got to come together, we have to heal. But for most people who say that, what they really mean is, you other guys, you have to come around to my way of thinking. And by the way, apologize too. I think we need to take another step and say there are only two people in the country right now who can fix this. And if they don't fix it, woe on them and woe on us. One person is Donald Trump. He needs to go to his supporters and say, the election is over, and the thing that we won was our principles and our policies succeeded beyond all belief in 4 years' time. And the country has just voted at the state level, at the local level, at the federal level, and Congress to put Trump policies and Trump people in office. So we have a success that can live on but stand down for now. And then Joe Biden has to go to his people and say, I can't govern without half the country hating me. So you, my far radical wing, you guys got to stand down. This is not revenge time. This is not we're going to show those guys time. This is time where everybody has to give something and not expect the other side to come to their way of thinking. And here's why it's going to be this is out of the comfort zone of both of these guys. I know them both. I know President Trump really well, and I know Biden passingly well for the last 45 years. It's out of their comfort zones. Trump wants to fight. He's a fighter. I say to Donald Trump, my friend, take off your gloves. Joe Biden, he's an amiable, go along, get along Joe. He doesn't like to fight with people. I'm saying to Joe, you put on your gloves. This is outside of both of your comfort zones, but you have to do it for the nation. But you also have to do it for yourselves, because Donald Trump, if you don't fix this, and if you don't let your legacy be that the movement that you started lives on and thrives, then you will go down in history you will go down in history in a very bad way, and not a way you want to.
So, KT, you don't think his concession speech went far enough last night?
I think it was a great speech. I wish he had given it a long time ago. And Amy, here's the thing. I believe that the Congress, in what they were trying to do 2 days ago in questioning the whole electoral, I think that's the right thing to do. I don't think it was ever going to change any results. I didn't think any of these lawsuits would work, but I thought it was important for the American people because, again, half the country needs to feel that they've been heard. And to go away without the sense that they've been heard just sets us up for another 4 years of acrimony and fighting. And I thought Donald Trump gave a great speech last night. I wish he had given it before, because he's been one of the most successful presidents in American history. He got us the vaccine when everybody said it would never happen. He got peace in the Middle East when everybody said it would not happen, and it hasn't happened in a couple of thousand years. He stood up to China when no American president would do that. He revived the American economy to the point where everybody across the entire socioeconomic, racial, ethnic spectrum had better jobs and high-paying jobs and pride in themselves. So I'm just sad that if he doesn't fix this, that his legacy will not be all of his great achievements, and the fact that his movement will live on well beyond his presidency. His legacy will be what we've seen in the last couple of days.
James Freeman, writing in the Wall Street Journal, suggested, to your point, frankly, that Trump and Biden should have a public meeting, a public handshake before President Trump leaves office, as sort of, I think, advancing exactly the position that you're articulating. Would that be a way to do it, rather than even articulate the viewpoints you expressed in silos, one to their supporters and another to their supporters? What about a joint between the two?
I think that's a joint handshake and a joint meeting. That's a great first step, but that's not going to be enough, because then everybody goes back to their silo. Mm-hmm. I think it needs to be President Trump continuing to be on the national stage, continuing to talk about his policies. Stop looking in the rearview mirror about I was robbed. Because, look, at anybody knows, if you spend all your time looking in the rearview mirror, you never look forward. Mm-hmm. And Donald Trump has done an enormous, great thing for this nation. He will be the most important political figure of certainly conservative Republican figure of the 21st century if he seizes it. And Biden, if Biden doesn't tell his people to back off and stop with this defunding the police and we're going to punish everybody, and we got our list of Trump supporters we're going to go after and we're going to pursue in the courts for parking ticket violations. I mean, if he doesn't do that, he won't be able to govern. And so, really, he'll be finished before he even takes the oath of office in 2 weeks.
I want to go back to a couple of things you mentioned on the international stage. Let's start with Middle East peace. And there's probably a larger question about the stability of the world under a President Biden. Is that going to be built upon, or is it going to recede? And starting with all of these essentially détente agreements between Israel and former Israel antagonists.
I think that the Abraham Accords, those are the deals between Israel and the Arab countries. Now, it's important to remember that we think of the Middle East and all the guys who are Muslims as the same. No, they're two big schisms. One is Iran, and they're not Arabs, they're Persians, and they're very proud of the difference. They think they're far superior to the Arabs. They're Persians and they're Shiite. The Arabs, the Gulf Arabs, that's Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, all those guys, they're Arabs, and they're a different version of Islam. And the Arab versus Persian is really more important than the different version of Islam. So the peace has been made between Israel and those Arabs. And they realize that their common enemy is Iran. And I think that even if the Biden administration tries to screw it up and go and give Iran goodies and bailouts and nuclear weapons, the Abraham Accords, in fact, will continue and probably even be strengthened by the Biden administration, not willingly, but because they'll find common cause against Iran. I think the Biden administration will probably enrich Iran will go back to some kind of wackadoodle nuclear deal, which never prohibited or stopped Iran's nuclear program. It only put it on pause. And then Iran will get nuclear weapons within a couple of years and probably ignites a nuclear arms race. So in the end of the day, it's probably a more destabilized world, but we're not in the middle of it. As far as China, I think that's the only game that really matters.
And with respect to China, how concerned are you that we will return to the pre-Trump posture of appeasement?
Terrified. Because China, if you look at what they've said in the last year, what they've said in the last 2 weeks, they have every intention of using this pandemic as their breakout moment. That they had always planned to replace the United States by mid-century as the leading technology, leading economic, leading military power, and then they shove us aside and they rule the world. But the pandemic, which they brought on, they are going to use this because they feel within 4 or 5 years they're there. And when Biden is elected president, they think, oh, we know what we're got now. We bought this guy. And plus, Biden has always been soft on China, and all the people he's appointed to his senior positions in his administration, they're all soft on China. I'm very worried that Biden just goes back. He'll get a couple of deals. It'll sound good. The PR will be terrific. But China will be, robbing our lunch.
Will they ever be held accountable for what they did?
No.
Releasing the virus and destroying our youth?
No. I think, but here's how they could be held accountable. They'll never admit it. That's not part of their plan. Remember what they do to their own people who dissent. They crush them, and whether it's in Hong Kong or whether it's even Chinese who live overseas. Any country that dares criticize China, they crush them. What they're doing to the Australian economy, they're trying to devastate the Australian economy. So I don't think China's ever held accountable in the way that you're talking about. The way to hold China accountable, and what I think President Trump would have done in his second term, is to go around to the countries who are feeling the boot on their neck from China and saying, it's now or never. We have to get together. We free market democracies in the world, and we get together. We're by far more economically powerful and technologically powerful than China. And we get together, and we, as a group, go to China and say, now you play by the rules. And if you don't, we're going to decouple from you, and we're going to have our own economic, political, diplomatic, technological, financial system, and then you're on your own.
As a former first deputy national security advisor, you must be tickled that after 4 years, I think in some parts, it's still in the Democrat Socialist Party, it still continues, 4 years of Russian collusion allegations. You have individuals like Fareed Zakaria believing it is now safe to come out and admit what the substance of the record suggests, that actually President Trump was very tough on Russia, Trump and the Trump administration, very tough on Russia during his presidency.
The thing about Donald Trump is he says a lot of stuff, and I don't necessarily listen to what he says. I watch what he does. And to your point, Dan, he was very tough on Russia. He was tough on Russian sanctions. He stopped a lot of transfer of technology that was going to Russia through third parties. He encircled Russia sort of politically and diplomatically. No, he was very tough on Russia. Why? Because Donald Trump was setting Russia up for a deal, and he knows that the best way to negotiate a deal is not to go to them and plead. It's to have leverage that you whack over their heads if they don't agree with you.
She is K.T. McFarland, former First Deputy National Security Advisor, President Trump, author of Revolution, Trump, Washington, and We the People. K.T., always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Amy.
Thank you. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Safety. It's so important at your industrial facility. You need to keep your personnel safe and meet OSHA requirements. One problem with your ladders, platforms, or safety guards, and you could be facing costly fines. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to keep your employees safe.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. As a business owner, I realize the importance of keeping my employees safe, and I'm here to offer my expertise. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor uniquely equipped to design, fabricate, and install safety equipment, including walkways, handrails, stairways, and machinery guards. Our Vans Industrial team can inspect existing systems, engineer solutions, fabricate quality goods, and install them with trained pros, all making a safer environment for your employees.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics, insured at the highest level, to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND IND. That's 833-VANS-IND. Or on the web at vansindustrial.com.
Man, I'm in a mood. I'm going to double up on the dosage of Balance of Nature today. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And I know you've heard me talk about Balance of Nature for months now, but this stuff works. And all the testimonials you hear, they're real. And I love it so much and believe in it. I give it to my mother and my children because we're not eating enough fruits and veggies on our own. Dr. Howard, the founder and creator of Balance of Nature, lovely man, lovely wife and family, he said that 70% of the produce we buy just ends up in the garbage, ends up in the landfill. So that's where Balance of Nature comes in. You can just take 6 capsules. You're getting 10 servings of 31 different fruits and veggies. And so to start your journey to better health today, be proactive. Do something for yourself.